Made it back from Florida alive. Now time to go to the little welding shop and get some crap done. Yeah. Well, that was about twice what I planned on spending, but when you need it, you need it. And today, I need it. All right, now we can finally get some real work done. Come on now. That was scary, but dramatic. Nice and square. All right, that makes them nice and square where the shackles mount down there, so everything's parallel and it'll flow right. For that 5 minutes worth of work, it cost me no less than $800 because I had to get the 2 tanks. It was a bit of a shock today, but had to get done, so at least we got that. So, but now we got fires, so we can do more damage. So this here is the stock 36 spring that I took out. And this is a spring I took out of my 40. It's essentially the same spring, but this one has been, which I'm pretty sure is aftermarket. So it's a little bit de-arched. So I'm going to go ahead and use this one, but you can see the difference between the arc and the two is fairly significant. But this appears to be the, Ford style locks, and these appear to be aftermarket. I mean, I could be wrong, but this is the one we're going to use after all. This one also has, as you can see, a square shank. This one has a round shank. What that means, I don't know. But this is going to the scrap pile, and this is going on the car. But I'm going to disassemble it and flip the eyes over to lower the spring that much more. I'll get 2 inches of drop by just doing this. So at least in theory that will work. We'll see. Alrighty, so in order to achieve what I'm trying to do here, I need to put this in a press and basically bend it all the way around so the arc is reversed, which will put these eyes on top. See? Easy peasy. Sounds very easy in theory anyway. So now with this halfway reassembled here, you can see that now our spring eye is on the top. So just need to clean all this up and bolt it back together, and then rinse and repeat and do the rear. Well, shoot, I gotta trim this spring down because it's gonna hit the eye now, so. All right, back apart. Well, I guess I could have expected that to happen, but what I didn't expect to happen is injuries. Blood, sweat, and broken skin. that is all redone and ready for paint. So reassemble the front one and we'll call this portion done. And then we can start working on that guy. Not that I know how, but we're gonna have to figure it out. Alrighty, got these all cleaned up. So these are actually from my 1940, because all the ones that came in the 36, the threads were all wiped out. And this I got like an oddball one. I don't know what it even goes to, but it's not 36 Ford, I can tell you that. But the differences in the two is the 36 has cotter pin holes, to where the 40s do not. And instead of using castle nuts, which is, this is what I have currently, so maybe I'll replace them, actually uses crush nuts. But also the spring pad, look how much heavier it is compared to the 40s. The 40s are definitely lightened up, so I don't know, maybe that was a weight savings or a cost savings, or who knows what the story is. But anyways, got those all done, one step closer. Come on. Come on. Not working. This will work. Oh, you ugly bastard. that was easy. So these brake shoes look pretty good. They were recently replaced. You can see, got plenty of meat there, but it looks like it was somebody hit it with a grinder here and over here. I mean, that's not from braking, that's from actual grinding, which is interesting. Nothing like a little burnt asbestos to get your bones going. The drum itself doesn't look too bad. It's not all eat up, so that's good. The other side, not so much. These shoes are pretty well wiped out. You can see it was ground on that side as well, but clearly the seal was leaking and dumped grease all over everything, so I don't think that that brake was doing much of the magic. So it must have been kind of fun to ride on this thing. But I'm going to knock that backing plate off and figure out how to separate that thing. That'll be loads of fun. Wow, look at all the stuff. That gear oil is turned back into dinosaurs. Good Lord. Whew. She got some chunks. Now I'm gonna make a mental note not to touch face nor touch camera with greasy hand. Otherwise it makes just, you know, well, it's awful. Well, that's kind of not what I was expecting when it came apart. Very bizarre. Never taken one of these apart. Very simple in design though. So I need to retain, well, I guess this piece and the two shafts, because I got a new gear set and bearings. So I don't know how this comes apart, so that'll be my next adventure here. Maybe this is a retainer, I'm not quite sure. I guess we can learn together. Fuck off, Bumblebee. Oh! Well, shit. Ow! God damn. Well, all those parts fell out. Oh joy. This is an interesting design here. Those Ford engineers, they were pretty sharp. So this is part of that rear axle. That's part of that rear axle. And those little spider gears bounce around in here and do magic. Alright, everything disassembled, so I go ahead and throw it in my parts washer, which I don't have, so it'll be a 5-gallon bucket and my monkey paws here and some brake clean. But get everything cleaned up and hopefully start to reassemble here. Hopefully I got all the parts. You know, trying to find a vessel to put all this stuff in is a bit of a challenge. You know, there's one thing in the modern world that we're truly missing, that we really can't live without, and that's the coffee can. Remember back in the days, the old man would choke down his big old can of, you know, Folgers coffee, and you'd have yourself a nice metal sturdy can that you could do something with. You could put stuff in it, you could kick it down the road, you throw it at your sister, fill it full of gas, let it on fire, and impress the neighbors. But no, now I got no cans. Well, all we got is Keurigs. You can't put crap in a freaking little K cup. So I gotta dig around and find a plastic bottle, cut the top off and use it for my makeshift can. This, my friends, is not progress. Alright, so I got the center section there and I need to get my pinion out. So the way this thing is set, you have the pinion there, you have the bearings and these nuts that all goes together, and it takes and crushes down and sets the tension in there. I already got all that out. That was loads of fun. But now I got to get this out, and what you see is this race here and another bearing, another race on the bottom, and it comes out as an assembly. So I've been trying to figure out how to get this thing out of here. So I got to push it in from the bottom there while I heat this thing up here. So after doing, you know, hours and hours of research, which really means about 10 minutes on the ham, I came up with a super genius plan. I rifled through my daughter's trunk and got the jack for her car, so I'm going to go ahead and utilize that, put some tension on here, heat this up, and out it'll come. Always in theory. Well, so far this idea sucks. This is like the worst jack ever. Look at this piece of junk. That ain't gonna work. All right, cut the jack out of my other daughter's car, and we're gonna try it again. So far, this is not going as planned. Alrighty. So what I ended up doing, which I didn't film of course because I'm an awful videographer, loaded the top up with ice here so the ring would stay cold, then heated up the outside, and here she came. Well, alrighty, got all my new parts lined out here, and as you can see, that's how this works. So you've got, this is a genius design, by the way. Those Ford guys, they were pretty smart. You have this race that's double-sided. One bearing that goes on there. That bearing goes on there. This bearing drops in there. And then you adjust the preload with the nuts here down in there. And this whole thing just presses into the case there. I mean, it's interesting for sure, because it took a lot of work to engineer this thing and make it work, which I don't know, I would think of much simpler ways. But I mean, if you actually put into thought of I mean, this was 1936, engineered probably 1930-ish or a bit earlier. I mean, those guys really had the equivalent of probably a 5th or 6th grade education in comparison to now, but yet super smart. So where there's a will, there's a way. And trust me, we've gotten a lot dumber in the meantime. So. This little mount on my table is ideal for this, by the way. Important instructions. We highly recommend that you read this set of instructions completely before beginning the installation of the new gear set. Correct installation can be done in a safe extended gear life, blah 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 blah. It's almost like the rope is for men. You highly recommend it, knowing damn well that most of the men are not going to read these instructions. Probably should have wrote in crayon. At least that's something most of us could relate to. Blah 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 blah. At least they got pictures for reference. Perfect. Anyone can figure it out. Aha. Carry on. Well, that actually worked like a charm.
probation for only $3.29 a month. Please call us
Waiting for the commercial to end. Can't really film with the commercials on because it screws everything up. So just gonna wait. Take your time. You're gonna be just good time to subscribe, by the way. Those will work. Too tight. These really aren't what you'd call adjustable. It's pretty much just set it and go, but I'll make sure it's not too tight. It's like a wheel bearing. So with this assembled here, you can see this is the only contact path here. It's that little slot, which comes in contact with the gear. But the way this thing is set up, there really is no way to shim it. I mean, it's pretty much bolt together and do it. All the instructions that it came with was for a 9-inch, so it doesn't really work for this. But I'm hoping that I don't completely screw this up. At least I have a strong track record. Well, that's not a half bad setup. Got everything back together. I don't have any end play this way, but you know, this is interesting because the wheel bearing is in the brake drum, so I got to pull all that out and replace it. But I'm not gonna do that today. I'm gonna paint everything first. You know, and the bearing rides on there. I got a bearing under somewhere. Let me show you. Oh. Doop. There we go. Yeah, it definitely is an interesting design. I mean, for being 100 years old, I guess you know, I can't complain. So yeah, I mean, the race is actually part of the axle itself there. Then it all floats inside there and goes back together. It's a pretty very reminiscent of a wagon. Which I guess the entire car is reminiscent of a wagon because, you know, that's what they had to go by. But you know, we are just about ready to squirt that thing with some paint. A little final cleanup here and there, and I think I'm gonna spray it and assemble it into a roller, and that'll be fantastic. That'll be next time. Anyways, thanks for watching. I'm going to go lay in the pool, so have a good one.